The first thing I'd like to do before I welcome our guests is to go over a little bit of primary voting information. We are having a primary that starts sooner than you think. Our early voting primary actually begins in less than a month. So it's on Thursday, the 15th. We have 13 early voting sites here in Wake County. You can find out more information about those sites either by going to the Wake County Board of Elections website or our forthcoming Election Central area on our website, which will have all the information you need about everything you ever wanted to know about this electoral process. Please note that North Carolina has a semi-closed primary. So that means that you either have to be the exact partisan, for example, a Democrat can only get a Democratic ballot, a Republican can only get a Republican ballot, a Libertarian can only get a Libertarian ballot. But if you happen to be unaffiliated, you may choose which primary ballot you can get. Primary election day is on March 5th. That is our Super Tuesday. Fun fact, Wake County is the biggest county in the state with regard to the number of precincts and also population. We have 212. If you are joining us from a different county, please make sure you know where your precinct is if you intend to go on election day. This year also, as was in our municipal elections back in the fall, photo ID is required. There are several types of ID that are fine to use. Please visit the North Carolina Board of Elections for valid forms. You can see the link there, ncsbe.gov. Poke around, find your voter ID information. It's actually easier than you think. And I don't want anyone to be frightened by that. This is different from before. There are methods that are available if you happen to have a true impediment to being able to have an ID. You can read up more on that on the Board of Elections. And finally, as I mentioned earlier before, we will have this huge resource available. Our Wake County folks are used to it. We are revamping it, making sure we have everything available for this primary, but it is called Wake Dems Election Central, and that will be up in the next day or two at wakedems.org/election central. So without further ado, we're going to take a moment right now and we are going to introduce our candidates. Let me start first with the full list of candidates that we have available for the evening. Sherelle Booker is a Tryon Town Councilor. She is here this evening with us. Thank you, Sherelle. Gary Fox is a retired Tarboro Chief of Police. He is not here this evening, but we will be sharing his information with you. Mike Morgan is a retired North Carolina Supreme Court Justice. He is also here with us this evening, and we are very excited about that. Josh Stein is our current NC Attorney General. He is not here this evening, but he has prepared a 4-minute video specifically for this forum that we will be sharing with you. And then there's Marcus Williams, who is an attorney. So quick housekeeping on this. We began outreach in mid-December, right as the primary filing closed. We have had this on the books for a long time. We were able to speak with every single one of the candidates who are running for governor. A couple of them double booked themselves this evening, but we are very, very blessed and very, very thankful that we have Mike Morgan with us and Sherelle Booker. Let's see. Next up, we are going to share some information and introduce the candidates who are here. And then after that, we will hear from Josh Stein via video. So I will take a moment right now and introduce Sherelle Booker. She is the Tryon Town Councilor. I believe she may also still be the Mayor Pro Tem if she would come on camera and let me know if that's still the case. I know there's been a lot of turnaround over time. Hello.
Hi there. I can't get my camera to come on.
It's okay. Just want to verify that are you still serving as Pro Tem for good old Tryon?
Yes, I am the Mayor Pro Tem.
Awesome. That's amazing. So she has stepped forward to run. Her information is listed there, and we will drop these links in the chat so you can get to know her better. In just a moment, she will tell you about herself in her own words, but we want to welcome you. Thank you, Ms. Booker.
Thank you.
Up next, we will hear from Michael Abisevich. He is our organizing director. He's going to tell us a little bit about Mike Morgan and then Josh Stein. And then after that, we will watch a video that Attorney General Stein sent to us, and then we will get directly into the next portion where we get to hear from our candidates live. So, Michael.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to be introducing Mike Morgan. Mike Morgan is a retired senior associate justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court, renowned for historic achievements in public service. He was born in Cherry Point, North Carolina, and was instrumental in the 1964 integration of New Bern's public schools and was New Bern High School's first Black drum major. He graduated from Duke University with degrees in history and sociology and earned a Juris Doctor with honors from North Carolina Central University's School of Law, where he was student body president in his final year. His legal career spanned a decade at the North Carolina Department of Justice, serving in roles including Assistant Attorney General. In 1989, Morgan became administrative law judge. 1994, Governor James B. Hunt Jr. Appointed him as Wake County District Court Judge and elected to Superior Court bench in 2004 and reelected in 2012. He made history in 2016 as the only North Carolina jurist to have held 4 different judgeships, culminating in his Supreme Court role. He retired in 2023 after 44 years of public service. Justice Morgan is married to Audrey Phillips. They have a daughter, a son, 5 grandchildren, and he's a member of Rush Metropolitan AME Zion Church in Raleigh, and he's the chair of the Steward Board.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear about Josh Stein, also presented by Michael Abisevich.
Hello again, everyone. Attorney General Josh Stein learned early on that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the opposition. His parents grounded him in our shared values of freedom, justice, and opportunity for everyone, and his faith teaches him that we were all children of God and we are called to make a difference. That's why, as North Carolina's Attorney General and as state senator before, Josh has taken on powerful special interests to protect families. Josh and his team have worked hard to keep families safe, hold corporate wrongdoers accountable for the damage they've done, make polluters pay to clean up the messes they've made, and defend your reproductive and voting rights. Josh grew up in Chapel Hill and Charlotte. He and his wife, Anna, live in Raleigh, are members of Temple Beth Or, and have 3 children who all attended North Carolina public schools, just like they did. Josh enjoys biking, watching college sports, and the Carolina Hurricanes, and in his younger days, playing soccer.
Thank you so much. And now we will roll over to Wesley Knott, our executive director, is going to share a video that Josh Stein's campaign sent. It is for tonight's meeting. After that, I will give a tiny bit more housekeeping about the order and how we will go through timekeeping and who goes first and who goes last and all of that good stuff. But right now, we will take a moment to see what Wesley has to share with us.
Democrats, it's Josh Stein, your Attorney General and a candidate to be your next governor. I wish I could have joined you in person, but I'm grateful to be with you by video today. I want to thank your county leadership in particular, because taking on the volunteer work as party leaders is a big commitment. But the folks who are stepping up know that this election has the highest of stakes, and I am so grateful for your work. And thanks each one of you for what you're doing. And I think I know why you're doing this work, because like me, y'all love North Carolina. North Carolina is our home, but our home is under assault. Right-wing politicians are taking a sledgehammer to its foundation. They're damaging our democracy to cling to power by gerrymandering legislative districts and making it harder for people to vote. They're defunding public education, making it harder for our kids to compete. And they are stripping women of their reproductive freedoms and their right to make decisions about their own bodies. All All of it is wrong. All of it is backwards. All of it must be stopped, and it is on us. It is on us to defend our home and to fight for our people. That's what I've been doing as your Attorney General, taking on big fights for the people of this state and delivering. My team and I are fighting for families devastated by the opioid epidemic, holding polluters accountable for poisoning our drinking water, taking on scammers who go after the most vulnerable, defending women's reproductive freedoms, and fighting for your right to vote. It's a blessing for me to be able to do this work. My faith teaches me that we are called to do our part and to make a difference, and we can. We can make North Carolina even stronger if we invest in our people and their futures. That is how we grow the middle class. I'm running for governor because I believe in the promise of this state, that if you work hard, where you come from should never limit how far you can go. That our kids and grandkids should have a better and brighter future than we have had. And that everyone should have a fair shot at prosperity, to get a good job or start a small business anywhere in this state, including small town North Carolina. So we have to tackle the high cost of living, raise the minimum wage, and cut taxes for working families. Every North Carolinian should be able to get good health care no matter where they live or how much money they earn. After a decade of hard work, in December, we finally expanded Medicaid here in North Carolina. So let's build on Medicaid expansion and get drug and hospital costs under control. All students should get a good education from pre-kindergarten through community college and university so that they can succeed whether starting college or a career. So we need to strengthen career and technical education and apprenticeship programs because folks shouldn't have to go to college to provide for their family. And we must support our educators and raise teacher pay to at least the national average. But to achieve these victories for North Carolina, it isn't just about electing a governor. We need to break the supermajority and invest in Democrats running for office all the way down the ballot, so we elect Democrats to local governmental offices. When we do, we will begin to deliver on North Carolina's promise and build that better and brighter future. I learned early on that some things are worth fighting for, no matter how tough it is. And we all know that things right now in North Carolina are tough. But I know this: North Carolina is always worth fighting for. The people of North Carolina are always worth fighting for. You and your families are always worth fighting for. So let's do it. Let's come together and let's get to work. So please talk to your neighbors and friends. Share your support on social media. Sign up to volunteer at joshstein.org, and please, please vote. Together we will build a North Carolina that is safer, stronger, and more prosperous for everyone. Thank you.
All right, so we heard from Attorney General Josh Stein, who is also running. And for the rest of the time this evening, you're going to hear from these two wonderful candidates who are here this evening. I would like to let you know that we randomly chose who would go first, and whoever gets to go first, because that's a heavy lift, gets to go last at the very ending. So for tonight, Justice Morgan will be our first speaker. He is going to spend 2 minutes introducing himself and making opening comments, and then we will hear from Counselor Booker. She will also have 2 minutes to do the same. As Justice Morgan is going first this evening, he will go last this evening for closing statements. We have a series of topics and questions that go with them. We will be timing them. Let me take a quick housekeeping break and ask Michael. Michael, are you able to get your timer on the screen?
Yes.
Would you please put that up so that our candidates can see what they can expect? I don't want any surprises for anybody.
Is it visible?
It is not visible. Oh, it's visible in the upper right-hand corner. Candidates, let me check in with you. Can you see the timer up in the corner of your screen? And please unmute to let me know. Justice Morgan, we cannot hear you.
I can see it.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Ms. Booker.
I got knocked off some kind of way between the video transition coming back. So I've lost video for some reason.
All right, very well. We will have a timer up in the corner when it's time to speak. I will also keep in mind that you can't see your video. It's probably hidden behind a screen somewhere. That happens sometimes, especially if you're on a MacBook, but I will be glad to also offer a verbal reminder.
Okay, I can't see the
It's not up right now. Mr.
Okay.
Abasevich, can you put it back up one more time? Justice Morgan, can you see the timer in the upper corner?
I don't have a picture.
Okay. All right. Just checking. Very well. Don't worry about it. We will take care of it ourselves. Thank you very much. All right. So to begin, each of you will have upwards of 2 minutes to introduce yourselves and make your opening statements. Since Justice Morgan is unable to see the timer, Justice Morgan, for yours, I will let you know when you are nearing the 2-minute mark. I'll give you a verbal cue. So do listen up for that. And Ms. Booker, you can decide whether or not you would prefer a verbal cue or to see the timer, whichever one works best for you when it is your turn. So at this time, I am going to ask Justice Morgan to go ahead and as soon as you begin speaking, introducing yourself and doing your opening statement, I will begin the timer on my phone on this end. And again, I will give you a verbal cue. The floor is yours.
Thank you. And I do have a picture now, so think I can see the timer, and it is indeed there. So thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity, and I thank the Wake County Democratic Party for sponsoring this opportunity. And I say hello to Mayor Pro Tem Booker. My name is Mike Morgan. I'm formerly the Supreme Court Justice who had senior status at the time that I departed the court. Now I'm running for the Supreme Court. I'm running for governor after having served as Senior Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of North Carolina. I'm running because of the fact that we've got opportunities here in North Carolina to change the status quo. The status quo is no longer working for North Carolina, and its leadership has failed us. We need, therefore, now to have a change to make sure that we can all go forward in North Carolina and be all that we can be to allow everyone to fulfill their respective destinies without having a Republican-led legislature to pick winners and losers among us. I'm the best qualified to be governor of the state of North Carolina. I'm running on the strength of 44 years of state government service, 34 years of those 44 years having served on the bench of North Carolina, encompassing 4 different judgeships, more judgeships than anybody in the North Carolina history has ever been privileged to have. I've got, therefore, the kind of background, honed judicial skills to be able to figure out the complex issues of North Carolina and make sure we have sensible resolutions. Also, I'm the most electable to go forward and be the governor of the state of North Carolina. You see, when I was last on the ballot statewide in 2016, I led all North Carolina candidates that year with the widest margin of victory of anybody who was on the statewide ballot. I can help Democrats up and down the ticket at the very top in terms of making sure that all of us can win. So therefore, vote for me, Justice Mike Morgan. I'm looking forward to tonight. Thank you so much.
Well done. Thank you very, very much. All right. Next, we will hear from Counselor Booker. Counselor Booker, are you fine with just the timer, or do you also want a verbal cue?
The timer is fine.
Very well. All right. So as soon as you begin speaking, and you have up to 2 minutes, the timer will begin. Thank you.
I'm just going to read my intro. I want to tell everyone hello. I am Sherelle Booker, Mayor Pro Tem of Tryon, North Carolina. That is on the western side of North Carolina. Nationally, until November of last year, I was the president of Women in Municipal Government. Presently, I am the immediate past president, and I have served on the board of directors for the National League of Cities. The National League of Cities represents 200 million people, over 19,000 cities and towns and villages, and 49 states. My platform is about people, partnerships, and unlimited possibilities, where North Carolina citizens are partners as well. This part of the statement I got from the Center of American Women in Politics. Of the 49 governors 49 governors, 34 were first elected on their own right. That is women in government. There's been 49 women governors in the history of the United States. So leading by example and encouragement after ending my presidential election on the national level, I too decided that I must continue to run for office. In addition to my role as an elected official, I also work in television broadcasting, and I am the station's internal one-woman legal department, and I am an award-winning television producer director and a licensed North Carolina realtor. My platform is about people, partnerships, and unlimited possibilities, as I said before, and where citizens of North Carolina participates as well. Engaging citizens, I intend to address housing, employment, healthcare, education, clean air and water, quality foods, women's empowerment, citizens' dignity, and survival of trees. And I ask you to vote for Sherelle Booker in March.
Well done. Thank you very much. That was outstanding, both of you. Okay, we will now get into the topics and the questions. And Justice Morgan, you will have topic 1, you will start. And Counselor Booker, you will end with topic 6. I'm going to give you a little sneak preview of the topics so that you all are a little bit prepared ahead of time. Topic 1 has to do with motivation for running. Topic 2 has to do with priorities. Topic 3 will reflect the Leandro ruling. Topic 4 has to do with gubernatorial powers and the political landscape. Topic 5 is asking about the governor's special authority. And then topic 6 has to do with candidate's choice. You get to choose what you want to talk about. For the very first topic, we will hear first from Justice Morgan. Mr. Abasevich, if you would please copy and paste the topic into the chat so that our panelists and also our folks in the audience can see it. I will read the question twice. If you need me to read it again before you answer, just ask. This will be a 2-minute topic. That means you have upwards of 2 minutes to answer the topic, but you don't have to take the whole time. All right. Motivation for running. Here's the actual question. In 2 minutes or less, please detail why you decided to run for North Carolina governor. What are your motivations? So once again, Justice Morgan, in 2 minutes or less, please detail why you decided to run for North Carolina governor. What are your motivations? The timer will begin when you begin to speak.
Running because of the fact that the people's voice needs to be restored here in North Carolina. There is too much that has gone on that neglects the people. The fact is that too many people in this state have had a Republican-led legislature to ignore them, to pick winners and losers among them based upon income levels, based upon where they live, based upon other demographics, including how they vote. This Republican-led legislature has a lot of formula data at its disposal. And what it's done is taken away the voice of the people. Add to that, we've even got on our own side of the aisle those that are picking winners and losers in terms of trying to anoint who our next leaders will be. I am running to restore the people's voice and to understand that it's the people that would choose our leaders, not others that would choose the leaders for the people. I'm also running because the hopes and dreams of North Carolinians have been dashed, slashed, and bashed, too many of them. Fact is that I want to restore for people hopes and dreams that they can be whoever they want to be, as long as they put one foot in front of the other and realize that as long as they have a lawful life that's being led, that they can fulfill their respective destinies and be all that they can be. I'm also concerned about the fact that Mark Robinson and the Republicans are seizing control of our state. I'm the one that can beat Mark Robinson. I'm built to be able to do that. Understand that there are those that feel as though there cannot be anyone that can stop that. but I'm built for that. I know in my own DNA, dealing with people like Mark Robinson, I can take that kind of argument, that kind of debate wherever he wants to take it. I'm the one that's best equipped for that. I'm the one that will make sure that North Carolina will be blue and stay blue, helping those up and down the ticket with my winning ways if I'm at the top of the ticket.
Thank you so much, Justice Morgan. All right, next we'll hear from Counselor Booker. Counselor Booker, do you need me to reread the question?
Yes, please. I thought we were asking different questions. I thought he would answer one and then I would answer a different one. I'm sorry.
It's all good. All right, so what we will do is we will go back and forth of who answers first. All right, here we go.
Gotcha.
You have 2 minutes to address this motivation for running. Please detail why you decided to run for NC governor. What are your motivations? Again, please detail why you decided to run for governor. What are your motivations? The timer will begin when you begin speaking.
Well, as I said in my intro, I was a president for the National League of Cities as far as women in municipal government. And that ended last year, November. So coming from an elected position nationally, I decided that even though the primary would be just a few days later, that I would join the primary to encourage women in particular to continue to run for elected office, because that is what I have been encouraging women to do for the last few years. But I had my momentum going, and I knew that if I didn't get into something immediately, that I wouldn't be able to continue elected positions in the future. But another reason why I was running is because with the National League of Cities, you touch every state. Well, we touch 49 states. You touch all the cities, villages, and municipalities, and you touch, you know, all this, you just touch everybody. So I had the experience of knowing what most people want in America, not just in North Carolina. And so having that experience from that federal national level just made me want to continue on in North Carolina with the information that I had in my head for people in general. But I think that, there are other things in North Carolina to worry about besides Mark Robinson. After all, Mark Robinson, if you look at him, he's human just like everybody else. He's mortal. So we have to continue on, and even if who says that he is going to be the nominee. So we have to consider on and let other people know that there are other issues in North Carolina. And
Thank you very much. Time's up.
thank you.
Thank you so much. And just a note to both of you, because this may happen, if you're in the middle of a sentence and the timer goes off, do just like Counselor Booker did and complete your sentence. Thank you for that. Well done, both of you. All right, next we're going to move to topic 2, priorities. Counselor Booker will lead, and then Justice Morgan will follow. This is a 3-minute question. Michael is going to ask this question. He will read the question twice, and of course he will start the timer as soon as you begin speaking. So Justice Morgan, if you'll go ahead and mute, and Counselor Booker, it looks like you're ready to go, and I will turn the floor over to Michael.
Counselor Booker, in 3 minutes or less, please share your top 2 to 3 priorities, why you've chosen them, and plans you have to affect them should you become our next governor.
Okay. So my top priorities are to this is not exactly a priority, but I think it will help humans just across the board. If you show them respect and eliminate the words marginalized people, it'll make everybody else feel worthy. But on my platform for governor, like I said before, it's about the people, it's about partnerships, and it's about unlimited possibilities. And I want our citizens to be able to be partners as well. So Housing, we all know that housing is a major thing. And as a realtor, I know how difficult it is for families and even single people to find affordable housing. Now, what we call affordable housing in North Carolina and around the state, around the United States, is not exactly affordable, even when they say it's affordable for everybody. So I know how difficult that is. So that is part of my platform, to get everybody housed, everybody who wants to be housed, because I know people that don't want to actually live in a structure. They don't mind living like in a tent or out there on the street. And so that would be my number one. And of course, to have housing, even if you can afford it or not, you need some type of employment. So I would partnership with other entities, either here in North Carolina or across the United States, to bring in businesses that would give our people a living wage, and benefits that they can support their family with. They can pay their housing, they can pay for bills. And on top of that, um, I would say that my next one would be healthcare, because I know people who can't afford healthcare. I know people who can't afford their medicines. I know some people personally who have a couple of medicines that are over $600. So each. So those would be my three priorities: is to get people housed, to get people good paying jobs, and for those who are medicated or on medicine, to make sure that they can afford their medicines, particularly our seniors. And so I intend to address those, as well as some of the other ones that I have said, but those would be my three priorities. And I think that we're doing pretty well in education. And my other one would be, on the tail end, would be women's empowerment, not just, abortion or some of the other things that come up, but the entire whole women's empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be going to Justice Morgan for that same question. Justice Morgan, would you like me to reread the question for you?
Oh, I understand it. Thank you for the offer.
All right.
Education is my number one priority, but I premise it based upon Leandro, and I understand we've got a future question on Leandro, so I'll go to my next one in the series of my important priorities, and that would be gun violence measures being strengthened. None of us is safe, and when I look at health and safety being the number one issue daily for North Carolinians, I'm concerned about gun violence proliferating as it has. We need to make sure that we have appropriate background checks, that we have proper waiting periods, that we ban the sale of assault weapons, and that we do all that we can to make sure that guns don't fall into wrongful hands. So gun violence is number one on this listing in terms of what I'm talking about at this time. And we've also got to make sure that our students are safe in the schools when it comes to violence, period. Our students need to concentrate more on the correctness of their test scores rather than the correctness of their school safety drills. Also, another level of health and safety for North Carolinians is looking at our homeless population in conjunction also with the question of affordable housing. We do have a homeless problem in North Carolina because there are too many folks that have been displaced because of the fact that we are a growing state. So many people want to come to our great state to live, work, and play, but many are being displaced. They can't afford to stay in the houses where they are. The property taxes have gone up. Even persons who have grown up where they still want to live, nonetheless, because of property values going up, they can't live there any longer. And again, in terms of affordable housing coupled with homelessness, we've got a real issue there. We can combine with other stakeholders to make sure that we've got rezoning in areas that heretofore have not been allowed to be places where folks live because it's not been contemplated for that reason. We can look to developers to make sure that there's, in addition to those kinds of houses that are built, to allow them to have a profit margin, to nonetheless have affordable housing set aside for those that still are a rich fabric component of our society and make sure they've got a place to live also. Finally, in this series of my top 3, excluding education, I would look at pocketbook issues. This economy is such that all of us are trying to make sure that our dollars as everyday people go as far as they can go. But yet there are too many of us that are still having to pinch pennies and make determinations as to what we're going to put on the table, whether it's medications or whether it is food on the table. We can do better in making sure we've got partnerships that attract those that would give us affordable prices on our subsistence issues on a daily basis.
Thank you, Justice Morgan, and thank you, Counselor Booker. I'm going to hand things over to our chair, Kevin.
Thank you both. Well done. All right. Our next topic is on Leandro, which is a ruling that took place a long time ago. And we will begin with Justice Morgan, and then we will hear from Counselor Booker. This is a 3-minute question. I'm going to read an intro, and then I'm going to read the question 2 times. Again, if you need it reread, when it's your turn, Counselor Booker, just let me know. North Carolina is now around 30 years past the Leandro ruling, as our North Carolina Constitution states that students have a right to sound basic education. This ruling was originally brought by low-wealth counties where public schools routinely were without basics. Please use up to 3 minutes to discuss how you plan to get Leandro enforced, since our General Assembly and now Supreme Court have routinely balked or outright blocked this mandate. What can be done to make the Leandro ruling a reality? As governor, you're thinking about this as governor. So once again, 3 minutes, discuss how you plan to get Leandro enforced, since our GA and Supreme Court have routinely balked at or outright blocked this mandate. What can be done to make the Leandro ruling a reality? Again, we will begin this question with Justice Morgan, and then we will hear from Counselor Booker. The timer will begin when you begin speaking.
I'm intimately involved with and knowledgeable of the Leandro case. I had a chance to visit that case twice while I was on the Supreme Court of North Carolina as one of the associate justices. It covers the fact that all children deserve to have, as was read, pursuant to the North Carolina Constitution, a sound, basic, free education. There's that opportunity that's been afforded. But the Republican-led legislature has denied that at every turn, based upon its determination that because as a legislature, it is statutorily authorized as the sole entity that is responsible for the disbursement of funds, that somehow the judicial branch cannot tell the legislative branch what to do when it comes to those kinds of disbursement. As governor, first of all, I would get the kind of legislative support that I would need to remind the legislature that there are 3 co-equal branches of government, and the legislature may have statutorily some aspect of disbursement, but the judiciary, as a co-equal branch of government, can instruct another one as to what needs to be done from its standpoint. So as the executive branch representative, as governor, I would work with the legislature and make the judicial branch as well as the legislative branch understand we've got to comply with the law. All of us, all branches of government have to comply with the Constitution. And so I will make sure that from my judicial background, coupled with being the governor at that time, and having those with whom I'm working as liaisons with the legislature, including those that are in the legislature itself, the need to understand that the judiciary has spoken and the legislature must do what it has to do in terms of compliance. I would set the kind of policy from the executive branch that the executive branch agrees with and supports and indeed obeys what has to happen from the Constitution. And the judicial branch already has a ruling in place from one of the lower tiers of the judiciary that the legislature must comply, and there is that ruling that is there. It should be revisited. And I would use all that is at my disposal as governor, setting policy, doing what's necessary with executive orders, doing what's necessary with the legislature, and having the real kinds of conversations that need to take place so that we can deliver for the children of North Carolina, so that all children have an opportunity to be all that they can be, fulfilling their respective destinies, and make sure the legislature does, in compliance with the other two branches of government, what needs to occur.
Thank you so much, Justice Morgan. Counselor Booker, do you need me to read the question again for you?
No, I think I'm good with the question.
Very well. 3 minutes.
As far as our General Assembly, the ones that are against people having what is necessarily needed, I would challenge them to get beyond the me, myself, and I, or the me, myself, and I, my family, and treat other people the way that you want to be treated. And I think in the long run, that would help our General Assembly members to make better decisions for North Carolina as a whole. If you just get yourself out of your bubble, and or either pretend while you're in your bubble that whatever's going on is happening to your family, and if you like it or not. And I think that that would strengthen our educational business, and I think that it would strengthen just North Carolina as a whole once we get out of our own little bubble of you, me, myself, and I. And other kids, besides your kids, or the people in the General Assembly that are making these decisions as to not to comply with the North Carolina Constitution, is that sometimes you just have to get out and walk amongst the people, or go into the schools, the different ones that feel mistreated, and see if it looks like the ones that you're used to seeing that are better educated, or even if the buildings look better. I just think that treating everyone the way that you want to be treated, even when it comes down to education for your kids, that in itself strengthens North Carolina as a whole. And I yield my time.
Thank you so much, Counselor Booker. Well done, both of you. All right, we're going to move on to the fourth topic. Michael will present this. This will be a 2-minute topic, or you have two minutes to address it. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the topic is, and then Michael is going to give you an intro. This is about gubernatorial powers and the political landscape. 2 minutes each. Michael, you're up.
Mayor Pro Tem Booker, North Carolina, this question is going to go to you first, and then we'll be going to Justice Morgan. North Carolina was the last state in the union to give our governor veto power. This power was granted in the 1990s, and since 2010, our legislature has been right-leaning to hard right, due in large part to gerrymandering, which means vetoes are now routinely overturned. Further, over the last few years, the legislature has stripped the governor's office of many powers, making our North Carolina governor's office one of the weaker ones in the United States. The question is, how does this reality affect the governor's ability to steer our North Carolina budget or affect policy? What needs to happen to restore the balance of power and give our chief executive officer the ability to be more effective? What avenues do you plan to use to affect policy if you become our next governor? You have 2 minutes.
Well, I think that we are going to have to read about and study those that are running for office, or the General Assembly office, because if you continue to vote for the same people doing the same thing, that doesn't solve the problem. You just have the problem over and over. So I think that this boils down to, I believe that it boils down to those who are electing our representatives, that if they aren't going by the law per se, or the Constitution, and doing what they need to do, and you don't like that, then it's all at the voting machine. That's when you vote people out, vote a new person in. And then I think that I'm just going to stick with the voting because and we're stuck on red and blue, red and blue. And I have worked the polls before, and people have asked me who to vote for. And my question is, did you not read or did you not educate yourself on the those that are running? So we get a lot of times when people do exactly that, they just go in and they just punch a or circle or do whatever they have to do, and we have to have our citizens to do that heavy work for us. And then again, we have to be able to, as governors, to be able to have a conversation or conversations with our General Assembly to get them to know what is best for the citizens of North Carolina. And the veto power, that will come back once our voters, get in there and vote for the right people to change that. And and as governor, I want to have a rapport with the general people in the General Assembly to say, let's do this together.
Thank you, Ms. Booker. Justice Morgan, do you want me to repeat the question?
Oh, I understand it, and thank you. Over the course of the 44 years I was in state government, I saw a number of governors and looked at their styles of leadership. And while it is certainly the case that the governor's executive powers are one of the weakest among all 50 states in terms of the veto power and so forth and so on related to that, the fact is that still the governor's office ranks as the top office in the state of North Carolina. I understand that from a policy making standpoint, which is what the governor does, is make policy for the state during the course of his or her administration, there's an opportunity to reach directly to the people, along with reaching into the legislature, and to make it clear what is best for North Carolina. There is one bully pulpit in North Carolina, and that is the one that is occupied by the governor in terms of being the strongest of all potential bully pulpits. I would use that to make sure that it's clearly understood what's in the best interest of North Carolina with my bold leadership style. The fact also is that in working with others collegially, I would have the same kinds of working relationships with those in the legislature that I have fostered with those with whom I served on the Supreme Court. We've got to get work done, and we've got to do what's in the best interests of North Carolina, because the electorate expects everyone to work together regardless of political affiliation. Rest assured also, should I be elected governor, there are going to be those that are going to come with me that are going to be Democrats that are going to break the supermajority, and there will be more in the legislature, therefore, to help me to push North Carolina forward from the legislative branch. Already, with me being in the executive branch, we'll make sure that harmony is much more improved with me as governor.
Thank you to both of our candidates. Throwing it over to the next question to our chair.
Thank you so much, Michael. Well done, both of you. All right, we are going to hit topic 5, which has to do with the governor's special authority. This is a short and sweet one. It's 1 minute to answer. We will begin with Justice Morgan, and then we will hear from Counselor Booker. Justice Morgan, what is one thing that the governor of North Carolina can do that no other elected official or representative can do in our state? If elected, how would you use that authority? Once again, what is one thing that the governor of North Carolina can do that no other elected official or representative can do in our state? If elected, how would you use that authority? You have 1 minute. It begins when you begin speaking.
Inspire. The governor is the leader of North Carolina. People look to the governor for direction, for inspiration, for guidance. Leaders inspire people in such a way that people are lifted up, not tear people down. Mark Robinson and others of his ilk would tear people down. and would have people to understand that there is more that divides us than unites us. We need to look together as North Carolinians and understand that a rising tide lifts all boats. So I would take it very clearly as my responsibility as the leader in North Carolina to inspire people, to have people to move forward, to make themselves the best that they can be. And if we've got everyone in North Carolina inspired to be the best that they can be, then North Carolina as a state becomes the best state that it can be. I'm the one that can inspire and make North Carolina look the same way.
Thank you so much, Justice Morgan. All right, Counselor Booker, there is 1 minute for you. Do you need me to read the question again, or do you have it?
I think I have it.
Fantastic.
I will repeat what I've said earlier, is that if you treat everybody the way that you want to be treated, then it will make North Carolina a better place. But besides the people or people of North Carolina, if you partnership with each other, that makes it better. So if your family, well, just as an example, if you and your family are good, and check on your neighbor, and then check on your neighbor and you all are good, make it a community thing, and that's where you come together. Before long, all these communities become treat to treat each other like they want to be treated. And I kind of lost my thought there, but basically, yeah, we will befriend each other. And oh, I know what I wanted to say. If we treat every day with each other as if it is a tragedy or a national disaster or something of that count, and the way we come together, if we came together that way every day as governor, that's what I would like to see.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Okay, the next topic will have to do with candidates' choice. So you can speak for 1 minute on something that means the most to you. I'm going to turn this over to Michael. Michael, you've got it.
Mayor Pro Tem Booker, we're going to start with you. Please use the next 1 minute to discuss in as much detail as you can an issue central to your candidacy.
To my candidacy, as far as getting our people educated on those who are running for office, that is dear to me. And I know I've said this before. If we, as those 18 and older, come together, learn about the people that we're putting in position, and then when you get to the voting machine, you're clear about who you want to vote in that is best for North Carolina. That issue is dear to me, that we stop looking at, and I'll say it again, red and blue and red and blue, and that person has been in there for 20 years. We want our citizens to be educated and civically educated as to how to treat their communities, and to learn about how our government works. Therefore, our elections will get the best people in there to run this country. And as governor, that is what I would like to see.
Thank you. Candidate Morgan, would you like me to repeat the question?
You did it quite well the first time. I've got it. Thank you. What has become a major part of my campaign has been electability. I've been asked about it a whole lot, about what makes me the most electable person who's running for governor. And the fact is, in 2016, when I ran, I led the ticket in terms of the widest margin of victory of anybody. The same year, my chief opponent, when he ran, only won by a couple of percentage points. And yet, as the incumbent, when he ran 4 years later, he backslid, only got a 1 percentage point situation, winning by 50.1% of the vote. Fact is, I can beat Mark Robinson, and in doing so, I will help Democrats up and down the ticket if I am the leader of that statewide Democratic-led ballot on the blue side of things, and make sure that we can have folks up and down the ticket to win. In a purple state that's very contested this year, we've got to have somebody at the top that will articulate for Democrats, I'll do that, I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
Thank you, Justice Booker. Excuse me. And now over to our chair, Kevin Creech.
Yes, so we are getting ready to transition into our final statements. But before that, I did want to share a little bit of information with y'all, with everybody who is in this room tonight. And also thank you for being here. First of all, thanks to Michael and Wesley and the other officers who put this program together. Thank you to all of you who attended this evening. I'm delighted that you are here. Hopefully you will share the link that we will produce with others so that people can get informed. And a big, huge thank you to both of these candidates who are here this evening. I'm sure that your time is limited. Both of you are serving or have served in elected positions already, which is a really, really big lift. And we can't ever thank our elected officials who do the type of work that you do enough. So much appreciation for that. Also, I want to remind everyone that our series will continue next, let's see here, I think it's next Wednesday, January 31st. We will be hosting our lieutenant governor and AG candidates who are in the primary. We have confirmations from Rachel Hunt and Satana DeBerry and Jeff Jackson. And then on the 6th of February, we will be hosting Supreme Court candidates and Council of State candidates. That is going to be a forum that starts at 6:30 because we have so many candidates who have confirmed with us, including Allison Riggs, Laura Cubbage, Gabe Esparza, Wesley Harris, Mo Green, and then there's a couple of others that I know I'm leaving out, but it's a very, very large raft, and I hope that you will show up and learn about these folks. All right, moving right along, we are going to do our final closing statements. You get 2 minutes to do so. Since I believe, let's see what's on my list. Counselor Booker gets to start us off for this one. Counselor Booker, you have 2 minutes to talk to the group, say whatever you need to say for your closing statement, and the timer will begin when you begin speaking.
In closing, I would like to reiterate that, people feel as if they are grasshoppers in the presence or in the subject of Mark Robinson. I want people to remember that he is just as mortal as we are. He's flesh and blood. And, he has faults just like the rest of us. He bleeds just like the rest of us. The bottom line is Martin Robinson is mortal. So, and saying that, I'd like to remind you all that I am a national president, and currently the immediate past president of that organization. And I've been on national boards of directors. But I'd like to ask you all to vote for Sherelle Booker when you vote come March. And it's not hard to find me on all of the tickets. I am the only female. And I, Sherelle Booker, as your governor, intend to lead with respect and eliminate the words marginalized people by making all citizens feel worthy. Again, my platform is about people, partnerships, and unlimited possibilities where our citizens, North Carolina citizens, are partners as well. I intend to address housing, employment, healthcare, education, clean air and water, quality foods, women's empowerment, citizens' dignity, and the survival of trees. And I know no one's talking about the survival of trees, but that's very important to me, even particularly as a realtor. And as I said earlier, I would thank you for voting for Sherelle Booker in March.
Thank you so much, Counselor Booker. All right, we will now have closing statement from Justice Morgan. Justice Morgan, you have 2 minutes. The timer begins when you begin.
Again, thank you for this opportunity and for everyone who has been present tonight. I am the most qualified to be governor. I've got the length, depth, and breadth of experience to be governor of everyone who's running. Also, I've got the most electability. And I have talked about that before in terms of leading the ticket as I did last time I was on statewide ballot and can help folks up and down the ticket. We've got to have the best candidate who has the opportunity to win in November. Yes, we have to get through a March primary, but ultimately the goal is, as Democrats, to defeat Republicans in November and to have the best and strongest individual to be running for governor as the Democratic nominee at the very top of the ticket. The fact is, while Mark Robinson is indeed a mortal, the fact is he looks at so many other people as being submortal in terms of how he continues to talk about others in such a difficult, disappointing, distressing, despicable way. I am the one that can defeat him in November. And we have to approach him in a way that we've got to concentrate on him because he's leading the Republican Party. So we've got to look at him, not in a naive way and say he's human like all of us. We've got to look at him in the fact that he would take us back generations, take us back to places where we never thought we'd have to go again, fighting battles that we never thought we'd have to fight again in order to be able to move forward as North Carolinians. There's more that unites us than divide us. And we've got to have somebody who's willing to go against Mark Robinson, not someone who goes with canned videos all the time and controlled press conferences all the time, but is battling and truly fighting for North Carolina. I'm that person, Mike Morgan for governor.
Right. Thank you so much. Well done, both of you. And we are now at the close of our forum. We are really, really happy that everyone who attended tonight was here. And once again, thank you to both of the candidates for spending time with us this evening. I want to remind and invite everyone to join our forthcoming forums. I just mentioned them a bit ago, January 31st and February 6th. A little more information about February 6th. We do have a confirmation from both Natasha Marcus and David Wheeler, who are both running for Commissioner of Insurance. And on that note, everyone, I wish you all a good evening, and we will see you all again soon. Thank you.